What if I told you the wildest plot twist of the week didn't come from Twitter, didn't come from TikTok, and definitely didn't come from an OnlyFans account, but from a politician? Yeah, I know. I didn't believe it either. A Florida gubernatorial candidate looked at the OnlyFans economy and said, yeah, we're not vibing with this anymore.
I'm like, I don't want to be doing this. Like, I want to focus on myself. I currently have a house in Tampa. I have 20 acres. I'm trying to build a farm.
Instead of moral lectures, instead of banning anything, he pulled out the most dangerous weapon in government history, a tax policy, a 50% sin tax on creators, not the platform, the creators, and suddenly everyone started sweating.
20 acres, and I want to build a farm. I want to get cows. I want to build stables and everything. And that's what I want to focus on. And I felt guilty, like, also being in the Bop House, but not being able to devote my entire time to them.
So here's what actually happened. A Florida political candidate proposed a first-of-its-kind sin tax targeting OnlyFans creators who operate inside the state. The idea is brutally simple. If you make money selling adult content online, half of it goes to the state, not sugar-coated, just straight up 50%.
Because they'll get together and work all day. And if I can't be there certain days and, like, I have other business to take care of that I'd rather be doing, I'm gonna leave the Bop House and focus on.
Now, here's where it gets interesting. This wasn't framed as punishment for punishment's sake. The money would be redirected into things people constantly complain are underfunded: public education, teacher salaries, school lunches, and mental health programs, especially for men. Yes, you heard that right. Teachers and kids versus subscription links.
Never in my whole life did I think that I would wake up and see a Florida politician trying to start beef with me for clout. So he's proposing a sin tax on bops where we would have to pay 50% to the state on top of the 37 I already paid to the government.
And suddenly, the internet had to sit up straight because this wasn't a culture war rant, it was a cost-benefit argument. Either the industry keeps thriving and funds public systems, or the tax makes it so unattractive that people quietly walk away. And let's be real for a second, a 50% tax isn't designed to coexist. That's not coexistence, that's a deterrent. This is cigarette tax energy, not income tax vibes. The goal isn't balance, the goal is shrinkage.
And I would be more than happy to pay that if multi-billion-dollar corporations were also being properly taxed. But surprise, they're not.
Now here's where the controversy exploded. The candidate didn't stop at theory, he named numbers. He pointed out that some top creators could owe tens of millions of dollars under this policy.
I never usually get into politics, but there are clearly better ways to raise funds from actual corrupt businesses in our country. I think that people also fail to realize that there are so many creators on this platform that do this job because they're struggling. So to tax them like that when they're literally doing it just to support their families is sad.
And he was very specific about where the money would go. No way community programs, no mystery funds, just pay teachers more, feed kids better. And that clarity is what hit people right in the chest, because suddenly the conversation wasn't about morals, it was about trade-offs. Who deserves stability more? People shaping the next generation, or people monetizing attention online? Cue the internet meltdown. One of the biggest creators fired back. Not with a policy argument, not with economic data, but with insults. Classic move. You're not just broke, you're mad, you're subscribed, which doesn't actually address anything at all. You don't need to buy cigarettes to criticize smoking, you don't need to gamble to understand gambling addiction, and you definitely don't need a monthly subscription to notice long-term social fallout. The response accidentally revealed the bubble a lot of influencers live in. The idea that any criticism must come from rejected customers instead of parents, educators, or policymakers looking at consequences. Suddenly, the creators started talking about wanting to quit, buying land, starting a farm, living slow, touching grass, literally. And listen, that fantasy sounds great, but let's not pretend running a farm and filming content are the same category of work. Farming is 4 a.m. mornings, physical labor, wealth disasters, animals getting sick, no algorithm, no instant validation. It's responsibility without applause. The irony writes itself, and then came the final defense. Why not tax big corporations instead? Here's the uncomfortable truth. This policy is about everyone. It's about influence. The OnlyFans economy doesn't just exist quietly, it is marketed aggressively as a shortcut to wealth. Young people see screenshots, luxury cars, and overnight success stories without seeing burnout, stalking, permanence, or long-term reputation damage. When you glamorize an industry, you're shaping incentives, and incentives shape behavior. That's why regulations show up after the boom, never before. For years, politicians avoided this conversation because it sounded judgmental. This proposal didn't avoid it, it walked straight into discomfort. discomfort and said, if this has a social cost, the state is collecting, and that's why it struck a nerve, drop a comment, watch this video next, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Cheers.